Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Through My Eyes, A Life with MS. You are listening to Lauren Parrott on the MS&Me Radio Network. We are sponsored and powered by the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network 24/7 internationally. This show is going to be about switching medications, and also I'd like to talk about different things that can help you financially. I am going to talk about switching medications because something happened to me recently, and I have been a mess in the last week or so. I've made I kind of think too many YouTube videos actually about switching medications, and to me it's really important right now because I'm still in the process, and so it's definitely on top of my mind. I can't really think about anything else because it is a life-altering thing. It's life-changing, and for me, it's a really big deal. And I asked my mom, I said, oh my gosh, am I making too many videos about this? Because I'm sure not that many people are super interested, especially those that are all set with their medications. But I mean, I have been for Tysabri for 10 years. But like I've said in my YouTube videos, I've been tested. I have a high titer. I'm JC positive, and I've known that for several years now. And well, let me explain. So I was seeing a neurologist who I absolutely loved. It was Dr. Howard Rossman. I saw him it was over 5 years, and every time I would get an infusion of Tysabri, we would have a meeting, and he made me feel comfortable about everything. I didn't have to worry about anything because he and his staff, they took care of everything for me. And so I didn't really have a care in the world. All I had to do is just worry about, the everyday things that we all worry about from MS. But in terms of medications and prescriptions and things like that, they were on top of it. And I didn't have to worry about it. And then he passed away in February. It'll be in 2 years this coming February, and I'm still having a hard time with it because, as I'm sure many of you understand, you develop such a close relationship with your neurologist, and you rely on them kind of. And I remember seeing in my video, I was a crying mess in my video. about him passing away, and I think I titled it like the hardest video I've ever made, because it was. I mean, I was sobbing, and it was really difficult, but it was important for me to talk about it and talk about how wonderful he was and how scared I was, because coincidentally at the time that he passed away, my titer shot up. I was at that, like, I was around like a 1.3 or something, and then when he passed away it shot up to a 2. And for those who aren't familiar, the titer levels, it's the most dangerous it can be is a 5, and at that point it's fatal, and you have a brain infection that can potentially kill you. And so, you know, I wasn't really that worried when I was like a 1.2 or 1.1. It didn't really bother me because I figured that Thai Sabri was working for me so well with my multiple sclerosis. I was like, well, yeah, okay. I'm JC positive and I do have titer levels, but it's a 1.2. It's not that big of a deal. Then it shot up to a 2 and then like 2.1 or something, and it fluctuates a little bit, but I mean, not that much. It's still dangerous. And he had been talking to me long before he passed away about switching. He said, when you're ready, I think you should switch to a medication that's, at the time it was called ocrelizumab. He said, it's still an infusion. It's a monoclonal antibody, and you can switch to that when you're ready. And of like 2.5, 3 years ago, I was like, okay, well, you know, now I'm good. Like, Thai Sabri's working. I don't want to make any changes. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then he passed away, and it was a shock. It was a huge shock to so many people. I mean, in the Metro Detroit area, there were two main MS specialists, and he was one of them. The other one was Dr. Khan, who I saw for a second opinion once. He's a very nice man, but I chose to go with Dr. Rossman when I found out that I was JC positive. And when Dr. Rossman passed away, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I was like, oh my God, I had to go doctor shopping. You know, I was thinking, I was like, there's no way. I don't think I'll ever be able to find another doctor who will be as wonderful as Dr. Rossman was. And so I did doctor shopping, and I did eventually find one that I have grown to really respect. And I've been seeing him for over a year, and I mean, it's been great. It's been fine. I'm still in Thai Sabri, but I have to switch now because Thai Sabri is dangerous for me. I mean, even though my titer level isn't at a potentially fatal level, it's still dangerous. I'm like walking on eggshells. So, my neurologist, he wants me to switch, like Dr. Rossman did, and so now the medicine that Dr. Rossman told me about, it was ocrelizumab, and it was finally approved by the FDA in March of this year. Now, when I was talking to Dr. Rossman about it, it was going through trials in his clinic. At the time, I was at the Mind Clinic in Farmington Hills, Michigan. It's Michigan Institute for Neurological Disorders, and they were doing trials for ocrelizumab, and so I felt really confident. I said, okay, well, you know, when I'm ready, I'll switch. And at that time, though, it wasn't approved by the FDA. So that's why they were doing trials. Well, it was approved by the FDA. He passed away in, my gosh, no, it'll be 2 years. So it was approved by the FDA this year in 2017 in March. And then it was named Ocrevus. And I've heard some people call it Ocrevus, but I like just calling it Ocrevus. I've heard it that way more. But anyway, so I'm going to be switching to Ocrevus. And the process of switching a medication is a really stressful thing. And I don't know if any of you have been in a stressful situation like this, but for me, maybe it's because I'm very, I don't know, like I'm really emotional and I'm sentimental, and for me it's just difficult. But I will be making the switch. I actually, I have an appointment on December 1st. I just talked to my brother. He's going to come with me to the appointment and help me. We're going to set a date for when I can start the medication. But let me tell you what happened to me at my last appointment with my neurologist. So I was under the impression that my insurance would cover the medication. And I also signed up for a copay assistance program with with Ocrevus, with the company that manufactures the drug is called Genentech. So I called Genentech, I signed up for the copay program, and my impression was that your insurance will cover part of it. And then whatever they don't cover, Genentech has this copay program, and they will cover up to like $20,000 a year. And so I was thinking, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I talked to my insurance company. They said that we were all set, and I, was set with the drug company. And I thought at my last appointment, we were going to talk about setting up a date for me to start taking the medication. And I get to the appointment, and my doctor says, he's like, well, your insurance company won't cover Ocrevus. And it was like a punch in my stomach. I'm like, what? And I said, wait a minute, I talked to my insurance company and they said it was covered. He said, no. He said, they said that it's not in their formulary, which is basically each insurance company, they have, I don't know for sure, so you might want to look this up, but drug companies, they have lists of medications that they cover, their formulary. I think that's how I understand it. And like I said, the company told me that I was covered, but when he told me that Ocrevus was not in my insurance company's formulary and they weren't going to cover it, he's like, so we're going to have to put you on a different medication. And I started sobbing in his office. I started crying, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because again, I have been talking to Dr. Rossman about this drug for years. I have read all about it. I know all about the medication. I am very familiar with Ocrevus. You can look at my YouTube videos. I joined a Facebook group. I've become friends with people on the Facebook group that are currently taking Ocrevus. And so I was like ready and set to go. Then he tells me this at my appointment, like last week or whatever it was, and I started sobbing because he was saying, well, we'll have to try another medication. I think you can try Lemtrada, which is another medication for MS. Well, I didn't even know how to respond. I was crying. I said a bad word, and because I was so upset, and I talked to him. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm so confused. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So, of course, I was really upset about it. I said, well, I said, I said to him, I was like, what do I do? I said, if it was you, if you were in my position, what would you do? And of course, he can't really give me an opinion. He can't. My mom is a counselor, and she said that students say to her all the time, they're like, well, what would you do? What would you take? What classes would you take? And my mom tells me these stories. She's like, well, I don't know what you want, so I can't possibly tell you what classes to take because I don't know what you're interested in. So after I thought about it, I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that to my neurologist. He can't possibly make a decision for me. It's my choice. I have to make that decision. But at that moment, I was like, oh my God, just tell me what to do. I am so scared. So I got myself together and I told him, I said, okay, well, I have to do some reading and research. That's what I do all the time. If you watch my YouTube videos, you'll notice that I say that a lot because it's true. I do that. I do a lot of reading and research because I want to understand things, and I really want, because I do have cognitive issues from my MS. So it'll take me twice the time as it does for someone that doesn't have, cognitive issues. It'll take me twice as long to read an article. So I do a lot of reading because I do a lot of rereading. Like I'll read an article and then I might reread it. And I do that a lot, but that's what works for me. And we all know that our MS is different, and we all, you have to make the necessary adjustments because we're all different and every day is different. So I told him that day, I said, okay, all I can do is say that I need to gather all the information that I think is necessary for me at this time. So I came home and I cried, of course, telling my mom how upset I was. And then the next day at work, my coworkers, who I love, but they were like, hey, how was your doctor's appointment? And I was like, oh my God. And I started crying. And I told them, I said, I have to, I explained, I'm like, I have to find out, like, if I take this other medication, which I wasn't planning on taking, and I really don't want to do it, and I got really upset, and so luckily, actually, you know what, that was yesterday, and today I had the day off, because I took my dad to the doctor, to his eye doctor. So this morning, I spent time doing reading and research, and I called the drug company, and sure enough, I finally got in touch with their financial assistance program, because here's the thing. I work for a nonprofit organization, so I do not make a lot of money. And I'm okay with that. I have worked there for like 10 years, and it's, everyone knows I have MS. It's, I'm very capable of doing the job there. It's close to home, and for me, it makes the most sense right now. But I can't afford a $20,000 medication. Honestly, I don't know anybody that can afford that money, that much, that can afford a $20,000 infusion. I mean, there might be some people out there, but not me. So I got in touch with their financial assistance program, and I told the gentleman on the phone, who was very nice, and I explained my situation. I said, I said, I have MS and I work in a nonprofit organization and I cannot afford this medication. And the the insurance company, that my insurance provider will not cover this medication. So I'm caught between a rock and a hard place and I don't know what to do. And he said, well, because I make a certain amount of money, he said, you qualify for our financial assistance program. So I am going to qualify to take the medication because I did my reading and I did my research and I found the right number to call, and I was completely honest with the gentleman on the phone. I said, I can fax you my W-2 if you want to see it. I have proof that I cannot afford this medication. And my doctor, they already know my neurologist. Neurologist has already sent the paperwork, and they know that I should be taking this medication. But oh my God, it was just a really long week for me. It was like an emotionally trying week for me. It was really hard, but I hope that this is helpful for everybody to know that if you just take a little bit of time to do some reading and research, be honest, make phone calls, talk to people, you can get results. Because now I'll be able to get this medication, and they do have, they have a program for people who can't afford it, that live with MS, and I qualify for the program. So I'll be able to take this medicine now. And I'm like very happy. I'm very relieved. And there are other programs out there that can assist for several different things. You just have to take the time and do your reading and do your research. And I personally use the Assistance Fund. If you haven't heard of it, look it up on your computer. Look up the Assistance Fund. I got information from them from the MS Society. They sent me something in the mail about it. And so I contacted them, and this is what it says on their website. It says, "We're here to help." It says, "Copays shouldn't interfere with your life. That's why we work every day to give you access to the medications you need." That's like the tagline for the Assistance Fund. So look it up, because they're incredibly helpful and they're very nice. And I've made donations to them as well. So not that much, but I've done some, and they've been wonderful. And there are other organizations like the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America, MSAA. They have an award-winning publication that is clearly written with large print and full color photos, and they cover a wide array of updated medical information and important topics to help individuals understand and manage multiple sclerosis. It's pretty amazing. You should just look them up on the web, the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America. They also have MSAA MRI Access Fund, and they help you help pay for MRIs. And everyone with MS, we all need to get MRIs to make sure that there's no progression of the disease. And also there's the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation. They have several programs that you can look into. MS Focus. You just do your reading and research, because there are so many programs out there that can help us. And my gosh, I've had MS for 17 years, and I really haven't used these programs that have been available to me this whole time. And I haven't used them because I haven't taken the time to do the reading and do the research and make the phone calls and call the people. And, even like, there are two different financial, or no, there are two different programs that, not programs, two different payments that I have coming in the mail from different organizations. And they're large bills. And I talked to the people, I contacted them, and I told them my situation. And I said, it's not that I don't want to pay you, because of course I do. I just want you to know that this is what I'm dealing with. Like, I am living with multiple sclerosis, and this is what I am making. These are my financial records. And once I did that, and I made a contact at these different organizations, they're willing to work with me. And they're like, oh my gosh, we understand your situation. We can help. We can put you on a program, like a copay program, or a payment plan, so you can pay a low amount every month. But just so we know that you're doing something, that you're trying. And I have found that being honest, being open and honest, and explaining to people my situation, I have gotten very far by doing that, by, talking to people, telling them the truth, and it takes a long time though sometimes. It can be really frustrating. Even today I had the day off, and I was planning on doing so much around the house, even laundry. I was planning on doing so much, but it takes a long time. Going on a website, calling people, and then, you have to, it's like the runaround, because you have to get to the right person. And it might take you like 3, 4, 5 tries, but it's worth it. It is definitely worth it to take the time to do that, because once you get to the right person, it is only going to help you. And it's taken me many years to sort of get to this point, but I feel so confident, because now I'm going to be getting a new medication. I'm going to be taking the medication for free, because they have a program for people with MS that can't afford the medication. And I definitely apply for it. And now I am like in the clear, and I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. So I really hope that this was helpful for you guys. I'm sure that some of you can probably relate, and I know that it's a pain in the butt. It's very time consuming, but if you're willing to take the time to do it, it can only help you. So, okay, you guys, thank you so much, and I will be seeing you soon, or talking to you soon. Okay, bye.